Good afternoon. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. This is Nate Abbott from Abbott Business Networks. This is going to be a much more succinct and quick podcast. Apologize for the early ones, which were long, rambling, and reflected my nature to tell long stories. So that's it. We're going to make these tight and to the point. Uh, we're going to continue on the issue of security, but I think this is going to turn around to what can you do to help yourself. And there's really two big areas to think about in protecting your security online, in my humble opinion, outside of general awareness. There are really two forms of attack that you need to be worried about, and they're related. One is phishing attacks, and that's where someone lures you into clicking on something in an email that results in something bad happening on your computer or to your information or through a website. There are just so many different vectors of potential um, problems in that scenario that click in that email that there isn't time to talk about them. Needless to say, if you click on the wrong link in the wrong email, you can have your identity stolen. You can have your security compromised, and you can have your accounts. The worst part is you can have your accounts hijacked and used for purposes that are either very contrary to your own interests or actually criminal, and that can lead to just a massive hassle for you personally. That's what you want to avoid, losing control of your accounts. So regarding phishing, I'm not going to say anything more about it. I'm going to direct you to a podcast called the Reply All Podcast. This is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but there are several ones recently that I think you should go to the trouble of going to. Um, Gimlet Media, if you just Google Gimlet Media, they will instruct you on how to download and listen to your podcasts. I'm not going to go into how to get a podcast now if you've never done it. But if you're sitting at a computer on a website, Google Gimlet Media. That's like the classic vodka drink, Gimlet, Gimlet, Gimlet Media. And they produce Reply All. The producers of the podcast and the principal narrators are PJ Vogt and Alex Goldman. And the story is about Alex Goldman and an episode where he started receiving texts from Uber passengers in Moscow. And actually, it was Uber drivers in Moscow. And this, hilarity ensues. But needless to say, he had been fished in a very clever way. He's a smart guy, and he got caught. There are succeeding podcasts that talk about a follow-up where they tested the company to see how well everybody at the company would do in the event of a phishing attack. And I'm not going to give away the results, but you can kind of guess. It wasn't good. And they were all smart, savvy, kind of city slicker kind of folks. Ooh, I say that out loud. They're nice people. They do live in Manhattan, but they do a good job with their podcast, and I do like them. So password managers are the other. Naturally, what someone's trying to do is get your password. And the big mistake that everybody makes with their passwords is they use the same one, and they use a weak one for everything. This is the most common thing that I run into. I run into a lot of people who succumb to a phishing attack. They click on a link in an email because they thought it was from someone they knew. They weren't paying really close attention. They didn't look really closely at the header of the email. They clicked on the link. Uh, that having been done, what you want to have is a minimum of damage. And you want to be able to retain control of that account. I'm not even going to talk about two-factor authentication because really clever fishers, that's with a PH, can actually bypass two-factor authentication. Not bypass it, but co-opt your two factors if you're not careful. So it's very good to have a good, strong password for every account that you use. Now, I hate saying it because I know how it sounds. I have more online accounts than anybody, and I protect them all with a program called LastPass. Um, you probably have less than I do, but you probably have enough that you're thinking, this is a big pain in the neck, what Nate's telling me. I don't really want to hear this. I don't have time for it. Well, you don't have time to get phished. That's also true. And in my view, everyone needs to use a password manager. The two main ones are LastPass and Dashlane. I use LastPass. I really like it. It has a lot of great features. It comes for all platforms, Windows, Mac, Linux, mobile. There are different versions. There's a free basic version, which is good. There's a premium version which syncs your computer accounts with your mobile accounts, or whichever editions you're using. It syncs them all, so all of your passwords are available on all of your devices. It encrypts all of your data locally. So when you set up LastPass, you set up a master password. It uses that password to seed a hashing of your local data, which makes it very difficult for someone to steal. You do want to remember that master password. That's the one thing you have to do with a password manager. As I said, Dashlane is also very widely used. My perspective on it is that it's more oriented towards users of the Macintosh. A famous author named David Pogue did a review of it quite a number of years ago. If you've been putting off using a password manager, I think Memorial Day is a good day to take that extra hour and go and pick your password manager and get set up in it. Think of it as doing your part for your country. You really, whatever you're doing to move society forward and your life, if what's good for you is good for the country, being phished and hacked is bad for you, so it's bad for the country. And I think it's bad generally. So LastPass, Dashlane, look around. If you find something better, use that. And go listen to the Reply All podcast. That's it for today. I really appreciate you listening to me this week. And we're going to try and keep these short and sweet, as I think this one is. It's a little better than the last. Anyway, take care. Signing off.